Okay, thanks very much, Tammy. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Adam Krass. I'm an assistive technology consultant and working with SPAN through a grant from Disability Rights New Jersey, ATAC. And today we're going to be talking about how to do an assistive technology consideration. And this is kind of like a assistive technology screening or an informal evaluation that was designed to be doable by non-assistive technology specialists. So it could be family members, IEP team members, teachers, therapists, anyone that knows the child with disability can start the process of matching assistive technology to a student with disability. And today I'm going to show you materials and checklists and tools that you and your team could use to do this process of exploring options and looking at different kinds of assistive technologies to see if you can find a good match. And finding the good matches is really what it's all about. Sometimes it takes trial and error. Sometimes it takes, a few attempts, but it's definitely possible. And hopefully to today's webinar will help to demystify a little bit the process of making that match. Um, we are a small group today, so please feel free if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat and Tammy will be monitoring them and answer your questions, but you could also turn on your microphone and just tell me your question, when it pops into your head. All right, and here's the link to the Google Drive folder with all of today's materials. And I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump in to the presentation. And I'm going to turn on captions. Okay, here we go. So here's our link to the documents. I gave it to you already. And our next webinar is going to be on Wednesday, May 8th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. The topic is assistive technology for middle and high school students with a focus on math. So here's the link for the registration and short description of the webinar. Some other upcoming events is on April 6th. I'm going to be doing a session on assistive technology for transition. And this conference is focused on students that are starting transitioning, or those who have recently transitioned to adult life. And this is an in-person event, which is going to be at East Brunswick Public Library. Another event after that is going to be in May, on Thursday, May 9th in New Brunswick. I'll be presenting at the Early Childhood Conference and doing a presentation on assistive technology for early learning. So it'll be assistive technology that's oriented towards pre-K to first grade students. All right, and back to here and turn on captions again. And here's a link for previously recorded assistive technology webinars I've done for SPAN. Click on that link and there'll be links on that page to previously recorded assistive technology webinars. on a variety of assistive technology related topics. So a little bit about myself. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I do evaluations, training, ongoing support, webinars and workshops, and modifications and customization. I'm based in Bergen County, and I do in-person services in northern and central New Jersey and the New York City area. And anywhere else via remote link. I also provide free 30-minute AT consultations for anyone with a disability or their family members, caregivers, teachers, those working with them. And these are all remote, provided by phone, Zoom, Meet, FaceTime, Duo, etc. And if you want to send me an email or give me a call, we could schedule that consultation. And these are especially good for individuals that are starting their journey in assistive technology and they don't know where to begin, or they have specific assistive technology related questions and need help getting pointed in the right direction, or those looking for resources in their geographic area. Now, I'm wondering if you could all just take a minute and just fill out page 3 of this Menti poll. It's an online poll. All the results are anonymous, but just helps me get a little bit of information about you and today's webinar. So if you could follow the link or the QR code and complete page 3 of the Menti poll, it would be greatly appreciated. And I'm just going to open it up and show you what it looks like, at least the results. Okay, get rid of all these things. All right. Okay. Here we go. And so you have a couple of choices. Just tell me a little bit about yourself, either your individual disability, family member, teacher, vocational counselor, healthcare provider, community living support individual, IT. So again, if you could go to the Menti QR code and fill that, tell me a little bit about yourself, it would be greatly appreciated. And again, here's the QR code. You'll have another opportunity at the end to go back to that. So if you could, it would be greatly appreciated. If you've ever worked on a grant, you know you have to prove that you're doing what you did. So this is my way of record keeping. So I appreciate you filling out this poll. Thank you. Okay, now a big part of assistive technology is trying the technology out. And if you don't have it in your school or your organization or at your home and you want to borrow it, I highly recommend that you check out the Assistive Technology Lending Center, which is hosted at Advancing Opportunities. The link below that takes you right to their Lending Center website. And if you're looking for something, you can check their website and see if they have it. If they have it and you want to borrow it, you can do the request right on the website and they'll send it right to your home. And you can borrow it for about a month and then return it. Everything's prepaid in both directions, so it's absolutely no charge to borrow equipment. Great resource. Definitely take advantage of it. So a little bit about assistive technology. It has 2 parts, and it's important to get both. The first part are the devices, which are the things, the software, the apps, etc. And the second part are the services. Services most importantly, training, supports the use of the technology. So if it's something new and no one knows how to use it, then it probably won't get used. So make sure that you talk about training if you're going to be talking about providing assistive technology to somebody. And here's the definition of assistive technology from IDEA. And the important words here are a technology that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capability of a child with a disability. That's it. If it meets one of those criteria, then it can be considered assistive technology. And here's the full list of all the things that are included under the term assistive technology services. Again, this is from IDEA. So if you ever need this, here are your references. And assistive technology is important for a number of reasons. First of all, it supports the least restrictive environment for learning. It supports greater participation with peers. And for those of you who know about inclusion, you'll know that participation is a benchmark for inclusion. So more participation with non-disabled peers means better inclusion. Assistive technology helps students access the general education curriculum, which some would argue is really the whole purpose of special education. It supports greater independence, and it helps students learn and reach their educational goals. So what is the process of matching assistive technology to a student? And what is assistive technology consideration? Well, the process is as follows. First of all, identifying the goals of the student. That could already be in the IEP. Review student information. Complete a set worksheet. We're going to talk about that. Discuss the WADI AT continuum checklist. We're going to talk about that too. Complete and follow the AT consideration form. We'll be filling out one of those as well. And if needed, conduct an AT evaluation. So you don't have to have an evaluation to be provided with assistive technology. If the school team can find something that works and it fits the bill, then you're good. So it is possible for the school team, the IEP team, to actually find a good match of assistive technology for the student. So you don't always need an evaluation. That's important to know. And assistive technology consideration, again, is mentioned in IDEA. And here's the quote. The IEP team shall consider whether the child requires assistive technology devices and services. So shall is one of those words which means it always has to be done. So to paraphrase that, if a student has an IEP, the team is required to consider whether assistive technology can help that student. In practice, the most common approach is to use a checklist, such as the WADI Assistive Technology Checklist, which we'll talk about later, and conduct some sort of a trial with technology, typically 2 to 4 weeks, although it could be longer. Now, you'll notice if you've read an IEP lately, and I read lots of them, that there's usually a check-off box somewhere on page 1 that says assistive technology, yes, no. And that is not sufficient. That's not a sufficient amount of work to do for doing an assistive technology consideration. The team should discuss it. And one of the best ways to discuss it is using the AT, the WADI continuum checklist. So here's the process. Complete the set worksheet, review the AT continuum checklist, conduct an AT consideration using the AT consideration planning form. And if you get a good result, you can create IEP goals and provide the AT devices and the services and monitor progress related to that technology. If not, and the team can't find a good match, then you've done your due diligence and it's time to consider a AT evaluation. And by the way, the evaluation could be initiated, the request could be initiated by anyone on the team, including the parent, a teacher, a therapist, case manager, school psychologist, etc. If a parent's doing the requesting, just to remind you that you should always do it in writing. So if you write an email to your case manager saying you're requesting an assistive technology evaluation, then that starts the clock and the district has to reply within a set time frame regarding that request. A word of advice, though, if you're going to request an assistive technology evaluation, it's always a great idea to be very specific on what you're looking for supports for. So, for example, if your child has difficulty with writing, be specific. If you're looking at handwriting, if you're looking at hand fatigue, time on task, you're looking at spelling, sentence composition, grammar, adding details to writing. I mean, there's a whole host of things. So if you can be specific, that's great. The more specific, the better. And here's our case study for today. We're going to be talking about Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a fictitious student, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot, and I'm going to ask for a volunteer to read Elizabeth's case study out loud using your microphone. So do I have any volunteers for reading Elizabeth's case study? You can just, you could raise your hand or you could just turn on your microphone and jump right in.
Elizabeth is an 11-year-old sixth grade student at Happyville Middle School. She enjoys playing sports, softball, and basketball, listening to music, and being with friends. Elizabeth has an IEP under the classification of student with a speech and language impairment. She is diagnosed as having a central auditory processing disorder. Although Elizabeth enjoys school, she often has trouble learning how to take notes in class. It seems whenever she finishes writing what the teacher has said, they have moved on to another topic and she can't keep up. Elizabeth is shy around adults. She does not like to volunteer in class and prefers to keep her thoughts to herself. Elizabeth wants to go to college someday, perhaps to become a physical education teacher.
Okay. Marianne, thank you very much for reading Elizabeth's case study. I appreciate your help with that. Okay, so we know a little bit about Elizabeth. The next step would be to complete a set worksheet for Elizabeth. So I'm going to switch screens here and we're going to fill out together Elizabeth's set worksheet. So I'm going to um, tell you a little bit about this worksheet, and then I'd like you to just turn on your mic and let me know what I should put in each of the boxes, but I just want to go through them. The first box is S for student, and this is talking about the student's strengths, abilities and challenges, interests, hobbies, preferences. E is for environment, which describes the environment where Elizabeth is experiencing the challenges. The tasks is T, what will the student do? IEP related goals, be specific. What are the critical elements of the activity or activities that Elizabeth is having difficulty doing because of her disability? And the last section will be tools or technologies, which we'll also fill out together, but we might do that a little bit later. So just tell me a little bit about, let's work on the S for student box and you just turn on your mic and tell me what to write in here in the student box. So let's talk about some of her strengths. What are some of Elizabeth's strengths? Well, let's go back. Uh, she's athletic and she has good social skills. Uh, interests, music, sports, friends. What are some of Elizabeth's challenges? Anybody?
She's shy around adults.
Okay.
And she has a hard time taking notes.
Okay. Taking notes.
Difficulty transitioning from topic to topic.
Okay. Okay. Uh, class participation. Okay.
She has an auditory processing disorder, so she may need more time to formulate her responses when asked a question.
Okay, good. Anything else to add under the student category for Elizabeth? All
Could you go
right, so
back to
let's
the, could you go back to the, yeah, thank
slide.
you.
Sure.
Well, she does have an interest in going to college, so
Okay.
I think that's important to note that she wants to do that.
Okay, good point. All right, so the environment is classroom, right? Because we're talking about note taking in class. Um, let's just take a wild guess as to what kind of technologies kids are using in the classroom. We could say Chromebooks. This is common, a common element. We could also say the teachers are moderately tech savvy. Uh, all right, so under the task, let's look for a specific description of the kinds of tasks that she has is having challenges with.
So,
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Social interaction.
Social interaction, okay. With adults. Okay. And if we're looking at the central auditory processing disorder, how is that impacting things that she might be doing in class?
trouble keeping up with lectures.
Okay. So so that would be lecture, note taking. but also just, and I would say just processing the information, right? Spoken information. This might also impact following directions, right? Any other tasks that you think might be difficult for Elizabeth?
Possibly retaining the information because just hearing it one time, that's why a lot of students often take notes to try to keep track of the information. So not just hearing it, but being able to refer back to it
Mm-hmm.
in order to
Okay,
study, like for exams. So maybe her test scores may be low because of that.
great. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that for today's purposes, we focus on note taking to keep things a little bit manageable for the time that we have today. All right, so that's great. We've got a nice set framework, and we'll look at the last section a little bit later. A little bit later. So we're just going to move to the next step, and that is looking at the WADI AT continuum. Okay. This is a checklist that lists pretty much every type of thing, type of activity that students are doing in school. I'm sorry, let's see. This format did not work too well. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to look at, let's see if we can find note-taking, the category of note-taking somewhere. Ah, there we go.
Adam,
Yes,
where can they get a copy of the WADI AT Continuum?
that is in the folder, the
Okay,
Google Drive folder that I provided the link for.
I'll
If they
copy it.
file that link,
Okay,
the WADI AT Continuum, there should be a copy of it in that folder.
I just put the link back in.
Okay.
Thank you.
If it's not there, let me know. Okay. So, okay, note taking. Okay. There is not a section specifically on note taking. But there is a section under vision for writing and taking notes, and that's up here. Now,
Adam,
yes.
Marianne clicked on the link and it said the folder is empty.
Oh, that's not good.
And I just actually did the same thing and I got the same result.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right, let me fix that. I apologize. All right. Um, all right, give me 1 minute and I will put copies in there. I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. Mhm. Okay, if you refresh that link, 1, 2,
You're
3,
good.
4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there might be a duplicate in there, but
We see them.
okay, great. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so some potential note-taking supports are a computer with audio support, a portable tablet, a slate and stylus, um, a digital recording device, and speech recognition tools. Some other supports, let's see if I can find some other supports here. Some other supports are a pen with an integrated recorder, note-taking program and apps, and interactive whiteboard programs. So we're just going to go back to this. And in this box, we can do some brainstorming here and just generate some potential ideas. Nothing's written in stone, but these are just some things that we could put on the list to consider. I'm going to just get the ball rolling and say, provide copy of slideshow for Elizabeth to add her own notes. Okay, so what are some other note-taking technologies that you could think of that we could put on this list of things to try?
Record the lecture.
Okay. Okay. Marianne?
Yes, I just have a question on providing the digital copy of the slideshow for her to take notes, add her own notes.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask about that because in the little scenario you gave, it said that she had a hard time writing the notes down and keeping up with by the time she wrote it down, they were moving on to something else. So,
Yes.
um, would that be something feasible for her?
Well, it all really depends. Like sometimes, like let's say if the teacher's using PowerPoint or Google Slides and they give a digital copy of that to all the students, that means that the students don't have to write everything. Okay. Now, if they're not given anything right now and Elizabeth's having difficulty, well, first question is she writing by hand or is she typing? You want to find the most efficient method for her. So that would be the first question. If she's typing her notes and she's still having trouble, she might be trying to write everything that the teacher's saying, which is going to be very difficult. So if they're provided with a copy of the PowerPoint or the Google Slides, they only have to add details. And that's going to save them a lot of time, which they can devote more to listening to. So depending on the student, sometimes that can make a big difference. Sometimes it could be still be an issue. But something to try. It's pretty easy. It's if it's the teacher already has the PowerPoint or the Google Slides, there's not a lot of extra work involved. And both of those programs have a notes feature where a student can type, their own notes on each slide, just for like the extra things or maybe some reminders or something that they thought was interesting. They don't have to write the whole thing.
I also have a question in regards to the recording of the lecture.
Hmm.
Because on the last seminar that you did with the other gentleman, um, I
Brian.
thought that
Hmm.
he mentioned that schools don't allow for recording. They don't want students recording what's going on in the classroom or what the teacher is saying. So is that permissible?
Well, let me just make one clarification. Some districts allow it, Some districts don't. So it really varies from district to district. If your student or your child's in a district that does not allow recording in the classroom, there may be some negotiation that can be done to allow it recording maybe in a limited basis or at some in some controlled fashion where the adults have some oversight on the recording. So it really varies from district to district. Some districts absolutely don't allow it, and some do. If they don't allow recording, sometimes there's some wiggle room to negotiate, a special approach to doing that.
Adam, would voice to text fall under that same way, or would that be different in the views of the district?
Well, programs like Glean do real-time transcription. So in other words, they record, they're listening to the professor or the teacher, and they're creating a real-time transcription, which gets added to the slides. It all depends. I would say, that's probably a little bit better because it's easy to edit and to check it. But again, every district's a little bit different. But like for instance, I'm turning on the caption feature in Google Slides, and I can record that and I could provide to the students. So that's an easy way of doing it. But again, every district's going to be a little bit different, and that you would have to, ask. But it could be it could be considered the same.
It's a matter of how you approach it and the options that
Yes.
you have. Okay.
And most districts, I think, are concerned more about student privacy than
Mhm.
anything else. That seems to be the major concern. Okay, so another approach would be skeleton notes or or lecture outlines. And again, this is where the teacher is providing the basic outline of the lecture, and the students are adding only the details. So this takes a lot of burden off the student of having to organize the notes because it's already organized by the teacher, and all they have to do is add the details. Sometimes this lessens the cognitive load for the student, and for someone like Elizabeth, this might enable her to take the notes and also be able to monitor what the teacher's saying. Um, what are some other note-taking supports? Maybe some low-tech note-taking supports. Tried and true, old-fashioned note-taking support. Anyone want to take a guess at this one? Provide copies of another student's notes, or from an adult note taker, right? A lot of colleges do this. Some high schools and middle schools do it. Getting copies of another student's notes, that's something that's been around for a while, but sometimes it works. And this idea of providing recordings of lectures, does anyone have some suggestions of different technologies that could be used for this? Whoops. What are some technologies that could be used for providing a recording of a lecture?
A
Digital.
recording device.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Voice to text like we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Marianne said in the chat, Otter AI. We were having
Yes.
a conversation about that before.
Yes. Otter AI is a real-time transcription program. Again, it's used in a little more commonly used in colleges, but it could also be used in high schools. So this is real-time voice transcription. Also recording pens.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you said it.
Tammy, do you know the name of any of them?
I don't.
Okay. There's a few different ones out there. But they're typically pens that record audio and handwriting. And link them. There's
If
also,
to go
yes.
back to the case that we were talking about, so she could use that pen if she got a digital copy of the presentation and just added notes, correct? Would that work for her?
With a recording pen,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Had that ability to
the
use.
potential is there. Yeah, the potential is there. There might be some special way to make it. I mean, if you're getting a digital copy of the slides, then you're probably better off typing the notes on the slide while you're also recording, through your computer or your Chromebook.
Okay.
But that's a possibility. There's also a very nice app, an iPad app that I use and like a lot. It's called Notability. And Notability, you can handwrite using a stylus. You can type your notes. It also records the audio and it links what you've written or typed to the audio. You can also add photos, pictures, diagrams. You can copy and paste. And it has a feature where you can search handwritten notes. So Notability app is one that will record audio and allow you to take notes on the same document. Okay. So let's say we actually did all this and Elizabeth was our student. What would be the next step? The next step would be to create an AT consideration cover sheet. And let's just take a look at this. So here's the AT consideration cover sheet. We would fill this in. And today's date. And who the team is, the school, et cetera, all that information. The referral question would be, what's the task? Let's say the student has a Chromebook. Dates of a previous eval. And then down here, you could set up the dates of the trial, person responsible for the trial, location of the trial, and the technologies tried. So let's say, which technologies should we try with Elizabeth? Any suggestions of the ones that we listed, or maybe all of them? Well, for today, I'm just going to copy and paste all of these. Whoops. And I'm just going to put them all in the consideration. Now, you don't have to do all of these. You might want to do just some of them. But these are the ideas that were talked about. Maybe you're just going to try this one. Maybe that's the first one you're going to try, and you're going to do it from, I don't know, March 25th to April. What's the first week? 5th. It's always a good idea to put a start and end date, because that gives the team an idea of, okay, we're going to try it for this amount of time. When it's done, we're going to regroup and see how it went. And then after the trial, you could say with the results, describe the results. Did it work? Was it good? Did it have a positive impact, a negative impact, or no impact? So this consideration cover sheet, which since it's in a Google Doc, you could make this a shared document and share it with the whole team. And then everyone could use this to document what you're doing. Now, if the IEP team is unable to find a good solution through the AT consideration process, then they might need to consider or think about an AT evaluation. So AT evaluations should be person-centered. They should be done. They can be done either by in-district folks or independent evaluators. Evaluators should be experienced AT practitioners with at least 5 years of full-time AT direct service experience, that's my opinion of what experienced means. Other people may have different definitions of what that is. If a person's not a occupational therapist, a physical therapist, a speech therapist, they should have the ATP certification, which is the RESNA certification. That's the National Professional Society that for assistive technology. I recommend that it's done in the student's natural learning environment, should include a classroom observation, and the report should include specific recommendations for devices and services. Now, I've been spending a lot of time talking about the process and not a whole lot of time talking about assistive technology examples. We do have a few minutes to go into detail on some examples. If anyone has a specific question about a specific type of assistive technology you would like me to talk about, I'd be happy to go into detail on a few of them. Mary Ann.
Yes, I have a question. You gave your contact information. So my question is, do families have to wait? Can they reach out to you directly, like if they want to, borrow one of the devices, or do they have to have the school's, okay or permission to do that?
Well, it's always a good idea, if possible, to go through the IEP team. But sometimes families borrow equipment on their own and they try it at home. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So you could contact the Assistive Technology Lending Center yourself and request to borrow something and have your child try it at home. if you thought it worked, then you could say, hey, I borrowed this. I'm sending it into school, if you want to give it a try. But in the long run, if you can go through the IEP team, I think that's always the best approach because you want the team to be involved. You want buy-in from the team, and you want the team to be part of the process as much as possible. So they have a sense of ownership over the process as well.
We have a question in the chat. Would a teacher wearing a microphone for a low gain hearing aid for CAPD fall under AT consideration?
That's a really good question. It depends who you ask. For example, hearing aids, which provide a similar type of benefit, are not always considered assistive technology because they have to go through an audiologist. They have to go through, a hearing specialist. Cochlear implants are another example, are not considered assistive technology because it requires to be surgically implanted. But some districts will consider FM system to be assistive technology. The caveat is that you need to have an audiologist involved in that decision, or a neurologist who specializes in working with kids with central auditory processing disorder. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a simple answer. Now, obviously, whoops, sorry about that. You have the Google Slides, you have the resource list, and you have the materials that we went over today. If anyone has additional questions after today, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. Be happy to discuss anything in greater detail. I'd be happy to take any more questions or comments at this time. If you would also be so kind as to go back to the Menti poll and complete pages 4, 5, and 6 to give me a little feedback on today's presentation, that would be greatly appreciated. And in a minute, I'll give you all my contact information. And here's all my contact information: phone, email, website. My website has a lot of information about different kinds of assistive technologies, so you might want to take a look at there for some more suggestions, if you're so interested. And we have a little bit of time for some more questions, comments. If you're working with a school district that wants to start doing AT consideration, I think it's beneficial to get a little bit of hand-holding in the beginning, at least the first time through the process. And if a district's interested, I'd be happy to walk them through it and provide some coaching. The first time it might be a little bit rough, but after the first time it gets easier, and be happy to provide any consultation if a district needs it. Okay, it's